Los Angeles, California. The summer of 1985 should have been like any other. Families slept with their windows open to escape the heat. Neighbors greeted one another each morning. The city continued to grow, seemingly full of opportunity. But behind closed doors, an unknown offender was breaking into homes at night and attacking people in a series of brutal crimes. The victims came from different neighborhoods, different backgrounds, and different age groups. At first, investigators struggled to find a clear pattern, making it difficult to predict where the attacker would strike next. Newspapers eventually gave the unknown offender a name that would become widely recognized: the Night Stalker. For months, fear spread across Southern California. Residents installed stronger locks, purchased alarm systems, and formed neighborhood watch groups. Many people were afraid to sleep with windows open, and ordinary nighttime routines changed. This documentary examines the case through documented evidence, investigative records, and court proceedings. It also separates verified facts from myths that later surrounded the case. Ricardo Richard Ramirez was born on the 29th of February, 1960 in El Paso, Texas. He was the youngest of 5 children born to Julian Ramirez and Mercedes Ramirez. His father worked as a laborer after immigrating from Mexico. Family members later described a strict household. As a child, Richard experienced several serious head injuries. Researchers have discussed these injuries when examining his life, but there is no evidence that they alone explain later criminal behavior. Most experts agree that violent crime results from a complex interaction of many factors rather than a single cause. Another influence often discussed in biographies was his older cousin, Miguel Mike Ramirez, a Vietnam War veteran. According to later accounts, Mike described violent experiences from a young The attacks often happened while victims were asleep, leaving them little opportunity to react. The crimes varied in important ways, making it difficult at first for detectives to determine whether they were committed by the same person. And as more evidence was collected, similarities began to emerge. Investigators realized they were searching for a single offender responsible for multiple violent home invasions. As reports increased, detectives from several agencies began comparing evidence. Crime scene investigators examined fingerprints, shoe impressions, ballistic evidence, and witness statements. One recurring clue was a distinctive shoe print left at some scenes. The print came from 8 years of location and was relatively unrelated. This helped investigators connect cases that had previously appeared unrelated. Detectives also detected similarities. Forensic science became increasingly important. Investigators compared fingerprints recovered from multiple locations. Laboratories examined physical evidence collected from crime scenes. Detectives organized timelines, mapped incidents geographically, and searched for patterns. Each new piece of evidence narrowed the investigation. Although the offender remained unidentified, investigators became more confident that the same individual was responsible for many of the attacks. The challenge was finding him before another crime occurred. By the summer of 1985, it had become clear that the attacks were not isolated incidents. Detectives from multiple law enforcement agencies began sharing evidence, reports, and forensic findings to determine whether the same offender was responsible. Investigators faced a difficult challenge. The crimes had occurred across several jurisdictions in Southern California, each with its own investigators and procedures. Coordinating information was essential to understanding the full scope of the case. As evidence accumulated, similarities between the crime scenes became more apparent, strengthening investigators' belief that they were searching for one individual. Investigators carefully documented each crime scene, collecting fingerprints, shoe impressions, ballistic evidence, and other physical traces. One important clue came from fingerprints recovered during the investigation. Unlike eyewitness accounts, which can vary under stressful conditions, fingerprints provide a reliable means of identifying individuals when compared with official records. As forensic specialists processed additional evidence, detectives gained increasing confidence that the same suspect had been present at multiple crime scenes. The investigation increasingly relied on science rather than speculation. As news of the attack spread, newspapers and television stations provided frequent updates. Media coverage informed the public about safety precautions and encouraged anyone with relevant information to contact investigators. At the same time, investigators had to balance transparency with protecting the integrity of the investigation. Releasing too much information risked compromising evidence or generating false leads. The case demonstrated both the value and the challenges of extensive media attention during a major criminal investigation. In August 1985, investigators were able to identify a suspect through fingerprint evidence. Once the identification was confirmed, law enforcement agencies rapidly coordinated efforts to locate him. Authorities released the suspect's name and photograph to the public, asking citizens to report any sightings while avoiding direct confrontation. The public response was immediate, with thousands of tips flowing into police departments. On the 31st of August 1985, members of the public recognized the suspect after seeing his photograph in the news. Several citizens alerted police, helping officers quickly locate and arrest him. The arrest marked the end of months of uncertainty for communities across Southern California. It also highlighted the importance of cooperation between investigators and the public during major criminal investigations. Following the arrest, prosecutors presented evidence gathered throughout the investigation, including forensic findings, witness testimony, and physical evidence collected from multiple crime scenes. The legal proceedings were lengthy and closely followed by the public. As in every criminal case, the judicial process required the prosecution to present evidence that met the legal standard for conviction. The trial remains one of the most significant criminal proceedings in California during the 1980s. The Night Stalker investigation reinforced the importance of cooperation between law enforcement agencies, forensic science, and public awareness. It also demonstrated the value of preserving crime scene evidence and sharing information across jurisdictions. Many of the investigative practices refined during the 1980s have since been strengthened by advances in computer digital data When the investigation ended, the fear that had gripped Southern California did not disappear overnight. For months, families had changed their routines. People checked doors and windows repeatedly before going to bed. Neighbors looked out for one another, and community watch groups became more active. For the victims, survivors, and their families, the effects lasted far longer than the headlines. Recovery from violent crime can involve years of physical, emotional, and psychological healing, and every survivor's experience is different. Today, many true crime researchers emphasize that these cases should be remembered primarily through the experiences of those affected, rather than the notoriety of the offender. The investigation highlighted the importance of cooperation between law enforcement agencies. At the time, different departments often investigated crimes within their own jurisdictions. The Night Stalker investigation demonstrated how sharing information across agencies could help identify patterns that might otherwise be missed. Since the 1980s, police have gained access to improved communication systems, national databases, digital case management, and more advanced forensic techniques. Modern investigations often benefit from technologies that were unavailable during the original case. Forensic science has changed dramatically since the mid-1980s. While fingerprints were a key investigative tool during this case, today's investigators can also rely on advanced DNA analysis, digital imaging, improved laboratory techniques, and sophisticated crime scene reconstruction. These developments have helped solve many cases that once seemed impossible to investigate. They have also helped exonerate people who were wrongly accused, demonstrating the importance of careful, evidence-based investigations. The case also changed how many communities thought about personal safety. Public education campaigns encourage practical measures such as improving home security, reporting suspicious activity, and participating in neighborhood watch programs. Law enforcement agencies increasingly recognize that informed communities can play an important role in solving crimes while avoiding rumors and misinformation. These lessons continue to influence crime prevention efforts today. Over the decades, books, films, television programs, and internet discussions have added many claims to the story. Some accounts are well supported by court records and investigative documents. Others rely on rumors, speculation, or dramatic retellings. For historians and journalists, it is important to distinguish between verified evidence and latest storytelling. Responsible true crime reporting places documented facts above sensational claims. Criminologists, investigators, and legal scholars continue to examine the Night Stalker investigation. Their focus is not on creating notoriety, but on understanding investigative coordination, forensic methods, victim support, and the challenges of solving complex cases involving multiple crime scenes. The investigation remains an example of how persistence, evidence collection, and cooperation between agencies can eventually identify a suspect. These lessons continue to be relevant for law enforcement professionals today.